starting with the 60s. This is the era of the big hoop skirt that went Gone with the Wind, that type of thing. So I did not have one in my collection. And so I'm having this event, so gee, I gotta go find something to buy. So anyway, I do want to tell you it's really hard to find things from the 60s, 1860s and before, because they were a lot of them out of silk, and there's several reasons. One, this one is silk. It is shearing, as we call it. You're going to, out there it probably doesn't look too bad, but when you get up close, it gives. It just, you know, it just divides, and that's all you can do about it. So I got this one on the internet, and they said it was not in perfect shape, and that's, you know. Anyway, I spent 3 days just getting it into this shape and gluing it back together. But this is the era of the hoop skirt, and that's why I wanted to start with this one. Also, you can always tell, because it's the off-the-shoulder sleeve. They didn't have set-in sleeves yet. It was the little off-the-shoulder, and your seam was in here, and also, if you can see, it curved. And people say, well, you can't, you know, raise your hands over your head. Well, excuse me, why would you? I mean, you know, it didn't bother them because that's not what they did. And this is a formalized dress. So this is my first. It is the one with the cage crinoline underneath and the hoop skirt. And these, some of them, they actually went out further in the back than in the front. They were a little bit straighter. But you can always tell that 1860s. I have, now she would, also need something to wear. Often, see, this is how I do things. She would put the little crochet left corner, because you had one good dress. You didn't have, this one was a wedding dress, but you spent the money on a dress, then you would wear it for at least 4 to 5 years. That's why your trousseaux was a big thing. You had up to 5 years worth of clothing, because your husband, when he bought you, that was the guarantee that went with it. He wouldn't have to buy you any clothes for at least 5 years. True. It's really true. Anyway, so you would change out things with little collars, and this one happens to have, I happen to have this, I couldn't believe when I put it on, and a little shawl, and gloves, and these were the hats that were worn on the back of the head. Hat. And probably when she was walking around in the house, because she wouldn't wear it out particularly, they wore little flat shoes, not too much dissimilar to the ones I have on here. They were cloth, they were flat, maybe a little heel on them. If you were in an outfit that wasn't as nice and outgoing, you know, like a cotton house dress, you would be more prone to have the boots. But this is basically what our little 1860s gowns were with. Idea. Why do we think it's the same? Because you can see it's the sleeve that goes. This is one of my favorite. It was given to me. That's what happened. I did buy things, but I go places and I do little programs, and people say, "Oh, my kids don't care about this stuff. Would you like it?" You know. So I would pick up things from it. This particular piece, I'm going to pick because the best part of it is the back. And inside of it is a band that has the dressmaker, and it's a Worth jacket in the 1870s or 60s or 70s, which Worth was the big Paris house of fashion. And It's amazing how long this thing has stayed this way. When you come to it, if you want to, it's all weighted. These are actual little lead weights to make it hang right, because the whole idea was you needed to have it look right on you when you were wearing it. The undergarments. So these two. These don't fit. But this is what you would have worn under those outfits, the 1860s outfits. You would have worn a corset. Now, the first thing you would have put on and what every woman wore was a shift. I'm going to put it a bit easier. This is a big one. Okay. Anyway, it's a shift. This is what you wore all the time. You might even, they would have ended up using it as a nightgown, but you would wear a shift. This was the only thing that touched you underneath. As far as, there was no underwear, nothing else. The first thing you would wear is the shift. It could have, like this one, it could have little sleeves in it if the dress you were wearing would allow. But you would have worn a shift under it. Then you would have put, on top of that, the corset. But you wouldn't have done it right away, because if you notice, once you put a corset on, you don't bend over real well. So the first thing a woman would put on would be her shoes, socks and shoes. So you would put on your nylons or socks, or we have here different ones. In the beginning, they would have been held on with ribbon or something stretchy. Elastic was invented in 1830s. So it didn't really come around to being what we wanted. It was always one-way elastic, but the elastic really didn't take off until like the 40s or 50s. So 1860s, she could have had, this person, the lady, could have had the garter belts that have, like I say, as this one does, to put on to hold your stockings up. So that was this is one of the first ones. And as you can see, it's old, but it's mine. Now, those dresses you saw, which are pretty, are for those who don't work a lot. And but there were always people who did work. And that brings me to one. I have 3 of these different dresses, and we'll talk about it at a time. This was what most women wore around the house. It's called a wrapper. And it had, this one is really nicely made, if you see all the pleats and stuff in the back. And then you could tie it in the front. And this is what you would, like I say, get out of bed, with your shift, put your underclothing on, then you would put this on. And all of these are, does have a little lining underneath them. Sometimes they'll have the boning in it or not, but it's definitely something that would be underneath your dress. So this is your day dress. This is what in 1860s when they were coming over, in the 49s, 60s when they were coming over in the wagons. You know, everybody seemed to be in this kind of a dress, and that didn't matter. They may have had dressier dresses, but this is what you could actually live in. So that's the wrapper that these ladies would have worn.